Matt Lairden here, Market Mindset Podcast. Thanks for joining. Sorry about the outfit. I realize I've got sort of a checkered shirt with a polka dye / snowflake tie and a sort of an off-matching blazer, but I know you're here for the content, not what the host is wearing, or the host for that matter. And today the content's excellent. Today we had Benjamin Serven on the podcast. Benjamin Serven, he's out of Houston, Texas, formerly at Paso Robles, California, a little bit north of me. He's the CEO founder of Black Sheep Global. It's a consulting firm for property management companies, software integration, systems analysis, how to make property management companies, third-party property management companies, work more efficiently, integrating on and streamlining all the different processes and software. It was Abraham Lincoln that said, give me 6 hours to cut down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. And one of the benefits of me doing this podcast is I get to sort of stretch myself, take myself out of a comfort zone, which I think we all should do as real estate professionals. And just listening and interacting with Benjamin today was amazing. The controls that he puts in place, his hiring process, some of the systems he advises property management companies to implement in their business, he uses in his hiring process and keeps people in the pipeline. He's really, how do I say it? He's in charge of talent acquisition at his company as well. We talked about delegating. We talked about his favorite little restaurant there in Houston. It's a pho restaurant. I say pho, but it's a pho restaurant. We'll talk about that a little bit. Great family guy. If you look at his Facebook profile, it starts with, God, family, business, food. If we can check those boxes every day, we're really blessed. Hope you enjoy this. I learned a lot, as I do with all of the people that I am blessed to have on this podcast. So today, Benjamin Serven, owner-operator, Black Sheep Global out of Houston, Texas. Hey, Matt Lairden here, Market Mindset Podcast. Thanks for joining us once again. Today, super excited to have Benjamin Serven with us. He is the founder and CEO of Black Sheep Global. He works with property management companies, systems, processes, integration, consulting. He's also a public speaker. We know that to have a successful business, processes and systems in place are just critically important. I'm gonna let him dive into that. Checking out his profile and sharing with all of us. A man of faith, family, business, and food. I love those priorities. If we can incorporate each one of those into our daily lives, that's a good day for me as far as that's concerned. And then, prior to this, he was the partner at Mass Equity, and we're going to dovetail this, but they invested in smaller multifamily and single-family homes. From, again, Paso Robles, California to Houston. I'll tell you right now, California's loss is Houston's gain. He's a fellow foodie, loves food just like I do. Talk to us about what you're doing out there.
Absolutely. Matt, an honor to be here. Thanks for having me on your show. Excited to chat with you and get to know you. What we're doing here at Black Sheep Global, Matt, I've spent the last 5 years working in the software industry, serving property managers specifically. And there's a big need in the industry that I had uncovered working for a couple of different companies, and that is customer service. Now, I've got customer service as a background. Sales and service is really where I come from. And working in the property management business, I'm sure many people will know the trope that property managers are not there to take care of people. They're there to take care of the property, and the people are just kind of a byproduct. And I think that's truly unfortunate and also not really true. However, there is still a need to build up customer service in the industry. And the approach that we've taken at Black Sheep Global is to do that by creating better processes, creating better systems and technology so that people can do what only they can do, which is care about people. Machines can do the rest, do the administrative work, and we let the people take care of the people. So that's what we do in a nutshell. And we do that through a number of different technologies, but we try to customize our service to our clients' needs.
I love that. So how many units would I have, either single family, multifamily? How many doors would I have before I come knocking on your door to say, hey, help me get organized here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So most of our clients start in the, I want to say 2 to 250 range. So they're definitely mid-size property managers, and most of them fall in the single-family rental space. We do work with plenty of people who do commercial and more multifamily residential as well, but single family, somewhere around 200 doors is a pretty typical starting point for many of our clients. Although, in fun recent news, we had a client who we started with at about, I think, 75 doors, and they just crossed 900, which is blowing my mind in about two
Wow.
years. So super cool to be a part of their journey.
Right. Now, do you work with owners or do you really work with property management companies?
Yeah, so we primarily worked with property management companies, although we do
Okay.
have the occasional first party management company that comes through, and we love them. Just the processes are slightly different. Ultimately, it's not a significant change in my book. When I think about how businesses are structured, it's really just a matter of what's internal, what's external, right? When you're a first party property manager that is managing your own properties, you're all about acquisition. Right? You want to build your door count and create a larger investment for your team to manage. When you're a third party property manager, you're just trying to build relationships with people who are wanting to do that. So it's really not all that different. You just remove or add a few steps based on the type of the business.
Right. Okay. Okay. So talk about I'm a property management company, and I know a couple here locally. Some do it internally. Some have it on site. I love that, your sweet spot. You say 250 doors is where usually you start working with. I get a hold of you. Hey, I'm just not happy with the efficiency of my management company. I'm, missing payments. It's not integrated. Walk me through, how you would talk to me and sort of vet me out, and I vet you out as far as the services you're providing.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I talk with a new prospect at in any given conversation, there's a couple of key things that are really important to me. Number one, I want to know about the person. For me, making sure that we're a good cultural fit is of key importance, and that's both that we are a good cultural fit for them, and they are a good cultural fit for us. I personally like to do business with people who I like.
Right.
And that's also true. I like to be kind of the screen for my team. As a business leader, I think that's a really important role that I have to play, and that is to make sure that the right people are the ones that we're working with, that we are not taking in people who are, abusive or harsh or something like this, but that I'm really setting my team up to win. So I actually run all the sales for my company because to me, that's a really key role that has to kind of control the capacity of the company and make sure that we're working with the right people. The other things that you could expect in a kind of an initial conversation is that we talk about your technologies. And look at your specific tech stack. And I have a list of different pieces of the tech stack that I like to learn about. But some of the key pieces for any property management company is how do you handle your accounting? Right. And you're probably going to see, AppFolio, Rentvine, Buildium, some of these other major players out there. And then there's also the processes and operations and CRM side of the equation. And that's really the space where Black Sheep originated, was in that CRM part of the equation, helping people understand better how to take advantage of their CRM. But the final question that I ask any prospect, Mac, is about their people. And while I want to know about the individual that I'm working with and about the technologies that they use, technologies are only as successful as the people who use them, make them. So I can build you a pretty dang cool automation or some type of specialized process built specifically for your business. But if you or your team don't actually use them and get value out of them, then it's really not worth anything, is it? So we try to understand where are the people coming from. I had a conversation with a new client just honestly about 15 minutes ago, and they have one team member who's having a really hard time with adopting new technology. She's just not a computer person. So now it is my personal goal and mission to help her be a computer person so that she can better understand the technologies that her business is running on. And that's what we do. We try to make the technology friendly enough that someone who has a low tech ability can encounter it, and also try to raise people's tech ability so that they can do more and understand more about technology. On that same call, we were explaining what is an email parser, right? Which is a concept a lot of people aren't familiar with, and that's fine.
Right.
But when you know what it is and what you can do with it, it's like, oh my gosh, you can do so many cool things here. So we love getting into the weeds and teaching people as well.
All right. So, okay, love it. Go back real quick. I heard two things there that, I mean, a lot of things, but two things that still stick. Explain CRM for those of us who are less. I mean, I know what CRM is in sales, but let's talk about how you implement that type of a process with a property management system. Where are they using CRM?
Absolutely. So CRM means the same thing in property management that it does in sales, right? Client relationship management. Now, how does that involve property management? Well, um, in the simplest of terms, a CRM is a tool that you use to develop relationships, right? Now, who doesn't need relationships? Nobody I know, right? So if you're not developing relationships, whether you're a property manager or a business owner or just Joe somebody, you should think about using a CRM. What a CRM does is it allows you to, number one, keep track of the relationships, and number two, to encounter and stay in touch with those relationships in a consistent way. I don't know about you, but I've forgotten 10 things I thought of this morning. And having a CRM helps me to catch those 10 things, right? It gives me a place to write things down in relation to specific people. So, how does that matter in property management? Well, in a third-party property management company, which is our primary clientele, the lifeblood of that is new clients, right? New owner clients, owners of properties who need someone to manage that property, whether it's someone who's an experienced property owner and they have, a dozen or 50 properties that they own and they want someone to deal with, or it could be your, one-off accidental landlord who just has to move and they have a property they don't want to sell. So their lifeblood is creating relationships with those people. And having a CRM where they can keep track of those relationships is incredibly key. So that's really how it's involved in the property management space at a high level. Now, I'll riff on this for a second if you don't mind, Matt, because
Yeah, please.
relationships really are the lifeblood of any business. In property management, there's several types of relationships you need to have. You need to have owner relationships, like we just talked about. You also need to have tenant relationships. And you also need to have vendor relationships. And you also need to have referral partner relationships, right? And there's other relationships as well. But each of those types of relationships deserves its own tracking and accountability, right? If you have, let's say, someone in your business who is a salesperson, right? I'm the salesperson in my business. So I need to make sure that I am staying in touch with the people who are potentially my clients. But also, I need to stay in touch with other industry people who are influencers who I care about, right? I want them
Right.
to care about my product and service. If someone is looking for implementation services, I want them to think of me. Now, how are they going to think of me if I can't remember to think of them and get in touch with them every once in a while? So that's why I use a CRM personally. But you can apply that in any business that you're working in.
Right. So you implement a CRM and like it's almost like four different buckets, five different buckets. You've got your property managers, you have your vendors, you have maybe maintenance. I mean, not maintenance, but I mean just a wide variety. And you still have to go out. We always lose business, right? I mean, everyone, for whatever reason, people change, but it's good to have people in the pipeline that want to use our services. And it sounds like you really use your CRM across a multitude of beneficial outcomes. I mean the best way, I sort of got tongue tied there, but I mean you're not just using it to stay in contact with all your properties and all your owners, but also as a larger property management company, again, your target market, you said 200, 250. They have all different little aspects in their business, and if I'm hearing you correctly, that CRM can be used for reaching out to their tenants, reaching out to their vendors, reaching out to their other property managers, other contractors, things like that, referral sources as well. Is that fair to assume?
Yeah, that's 100% correct, Matt. And it's such a powerful tool that I think most of us have cell phones. I hope so. If you got a cell phone, you can basically build your own CRM if you really wanted to. Just use a spreadsheet and make sure you're tracking the people who you regularly text, right? And leave a date the last time you texted them, right? Now, that's a very archaic way of doing it, but that would accomplish similar to what a CRM would do, right? If you review that sheet on a regular basis and see, okay, here's the last time that I texted. It's 10 days later. I need to send them another text, right?
Yeah.
A CRM does the exact same thing, just in a much more sophisticated and clean and organized kind of way. And it can send you notifications instead of you having to remember to go and look at the spreadsheet, right? So I think CRMs are something that everyone should use throughout all kinds of relationships. Something we didn't even talk about there. Another purpose that you can use a CRM for is developing your team,
Okay.
right? I use a CRM when I'm hiring. So I will set up a hiring pipeline, right? And then anytime that someone is interested in a job posting that I put up, then they have to fill out a form, which automatically puts them into my pipeline. And then I
Okay.
work through that pipeline and send them a series of emails, have conversations, do an interview, all of these different steps to develop that relationship. And then when I finally choose someone to to accept that job, or to offer that job to, I should say, and I get an acceptance, then that person is going to move from that pipeline into a different pipeline because their relationship has changed, right? They're no longer a prospective relationship. They're now an engaged relationship, right? We've
Yeah.
got a contract. We're friends officially.
Yeah.
We got to work together. But now I want to keep track of different things about that person because now I have so much more context on who they are. No more do I care about closing that person. Now I need to maintain that relationship. So I need to care about their birthday and their anniversary and their pets and their kids and their spouse and any of these other details that I want to know about people who I relate with on a regular basis so that I can show that I care about them because I truly do. But I'm a forgetful person. So having a CRM helps me collect all that information in one place. So I don't have to rely on my imperfect memory to say, what was your dog's name and your son's birthday and all these other details that are just going to float away otherwise.
Yeah. And that's that personal touch that, I mean, so many employees, I mean, that could be the added bonus for them to come join your organization. And if I'm hearing you correctly, it's great to keep sort of top talent in the pipeline. You
Yes.
know, every business has attrition, people move, stay in contact with them. And as you get to know them, that hiring process becomes easier because you know more and more about them. Then once they're in your system and they're working for you as a contractor employee, it's, I mean, that's really, really, that's powerful. I mean, it's a relationship. Everything's relationship. Let's just
It
face it.
absolutely is.
But
Yeah.
if you know something about, hey, how's your dog doing? Congratulations on your, 10-year anniversary. I feel like you're involved, enrolled in my life, and you care about me. What's impressive, amongst other things about you, but you're the gatekeeper for talent. I mean, and they have to get through you so many times. And the culture of a company is made, you can be made or broken by, having someone come into the organization that really doesn't find the culture, fit with the values, fit with the goals and objectives. So, wow, I never looked at CRM in that capacity before. So, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. My
I gotta,
pleasure.
I gotta go down the rabbit hole. You said Appfolio,
Huh?
and I've got an in-law second degree that's working for Appfolio.
Nice.
And is that the trend with property managers? I mean, now everything going Appfolio, or I mean, are tenants still dropping off checks at the property management office? I mean,
Yeah, so
go ahead.
it's such a good question, Matt. So in the last, I want to say in the last 4 years, Appfolio has been a sleeping giant, right? And they literally are a giant, right? They're a publicly traded company, quite significant. They've really done some incredible things in developing their technology stack. But the last number of years, they have definitely been in the sleeping giant category because they haven't had major impact on the industry beyond the fact that they were large and relatively in charge of the space where they lived, right? Which was trust accounting. Now they had a number of other products that they offer as well, some really excellent stuff. But trust accounting is really their chief design and the way that the product was created. So as to whether the people are picking up physical checks or taking cash and rental payments, yes, it still happens. I saw some figures last year. I think there's approximately 300, and I want to say 340,000 people who qualify as property managers in the States. This was last year, so the numbers probably changed, but it's a pretty significant number.
Yeah.
Interestingly, though, of that 340 or so thousand, I believe it is less than 30% that are actually professional property management companies. Some of the majority of those are your people who own properties as a business, right? My brother-in-law is one of these people. Or they are individuals who have, one or two properties. And technically speaking, they're a property manager, even though, there's some flexibility around that definition, right?
Yeah.
Now, for the professional property managers, you will find almost without exception that every one of them is going to have some type of software to do their rent collection, to do their trust accounting, to do all the other services that they require. It's unlikely that you will find many people, except in some areas of the country where it's just less prevalent, that people will accept cash or checks or even money orders. The majority of rental payments have moved to online portals. There's still a few one-off services out there, I think, where you can, go to a gas station and pay cash, and then they will make the payment for you or something like that. But it's less and less common.
Right. Okay. And again, I'm a novice. You're playing chess, I'm playing checkers here, but circling back to Appfolio, when you say you said something about managed trust or trust.
Trust accounting, yeah.
Yeah, trust accounting. Explain that to me, the novice guy here.
Yeah, so I am not an expert on trust accounting, so let me just say that at
Okay.
first. But to give you a very rough definition, in the property management business, in third-party property management, again, I should give that clarity.
We'll
You
go
are
through,
working with.
go real quick. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
through, explain to the viewers, listeners out there, first party property management, second,
Of
and
course.
third.
Yeah, so it's really just first party and third party. Second party isn't really a thing as far as I
Okay.
know. First party is you manage your properties, right? You manage your own properties. Third party, you manage somebody else's properties, right?
Okay.
Now, in a first party property management seat, the majority of the time, and it's going to depend state by state, you may not even need to have a property management license because they are your properties. Again, consult your local state for this is not tax
Right.
advice or any of this.
Right.
All of the clarity. For a third party property manager, that is technically a fiduciary type of role. So you have to be licensed just like you would if you were a financial advisor or doing investment sales, or a banker or anything else where you are handling other people's money, right? So to come back to the trust accounting that you asked about a moment ago, trust accounting is basically the method through which you manage other people's money when you are a property manager. So I'm sure you're familiar with the idea of commingling funds, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Definitely not something you want to do, right? And
No.
it's very relevant in a property management scenario because you are holding money for all kinds of other people, right? You've got security deposits from tenants. You've got funds from owners that you may be holding for repairs, or you may just be holding funds in general in case there's an emergency, right? One of the things I like to say about property managers, and property managers don't hate me, but property managers don't like to spend their own money. So they always want to make sure that they've got money from an owner that's on hand in case there is an emergency related to a property. They don't want to shell out their money to take care of that property because they are a third party, but they still have to act in the fiduciary or best interest of that owner, and distribute those funds or spend those funds in the accordance of what that owner would want.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah. I mean, and whether we could go a deep dive in fiduciary responsibilities and accounting and banking. That's not where we're here. So yeah, circling back then, your property management companies, how are you acquiring new clients for those of us in the sales and marketing capacity? And obviously you were before you transitioned to managing and starting your own company, Black Sheep Global. How are you out there acquiring new clients?
Yeah, great question. So, to give you a little bit of history, about 5 years ago or so, I was recruited by a company called Lead Simple, and Lead Simple is a software company. I can throw their name out. They are wonderful. They've got a fantastic product. I would highly encourage anyone who is in a property management business to check out their product. But I was recruited by Lead Simple to work in their company to help them launch their processes tool. They are a CRM company, and they had recently launched a processes side of the equation. And so they hired me to help launch that product. And working for Lead Simple, I kind of fell in love with the property management industry. And over the course of time, as I was working there, the marketing department said, "Hey, Ben, it would be really great if you could make some success stories and some recordings with your clients, right? We need some more
Oh,
marketing material." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, right? Let's start
yeah.
making some content." So I would sit down on calls like these where I would interview the person who I had just worked with to build out their tech stack and learn about their experience and what are the highs and what are the lows and what are the challenges and all this. So by doing that, I was privileged to build some really wonderful relationships with these clients because I would work, I would see these folks at least once a week. We would have, hour-long conversations talking about their business and, oftentimes got off into personal things because that's just how it goes, right?
Right.
So building those relationships was a really key part of this because after I had been at Lead Simple for about 2 years, I departed for a new opportunity working for a startup. But wouldn't you know it, I was at that startup probably a good month or so before I got a message on Facebook from one of my old clients that, hey, can you help me out, do a little consulting on the side? I need some help with this project. Like, well, yes, of course. And Aaron, if you're listening to this, Aaron Cooper is the man. Thank you for being my first ever client. Um,
Okay.
but Aaron gave me that start. And what I've been reading about and learning more about at that time was, how to market myself and how to build my business. But while I wasn't broke, I didn't have tons of money to throw into marketing resources. So I stole a lesson from a podcast I had listened to on Bigger Pockets.
Okay.
And they talked about this idea of when you can do nothing else, wash the truck, right? And the concept here is that there was a guy who was broke and he had a truck and he was going to have to sell the truck in order to get some money to buy some food, right? And you can either list the truck on Craigslist as it is, or you can wash the truck. And the truck will be way better. It will look nicer. People will be more interested in it. And really, the concept here is that you're doing the free thing, right? You're doing the thing that doesn't cost you anything. So I thought, okay, how can I wash the truck as I'm wanting to build this business? I was still employed, had a W-2, but I really wanted to make this consulting thing real because, I had my opportunity, I had the taste of it. It's like, wow, I'm a free agent, right? I can do this the way that I want, and I can collect my own clients. So the free thing that I did was I started contributing, right? I went into all the different Facebook groups where property managers live. And anytime I saw someone ask a question about CRM or processes or technology, then I would try to write out, be the first person and say, hey, here's what I think, right? Here's my opinion. Do this, try this. I think this will work, and just give free advice and recommendations. And before long, I started getting a lot more Facebook messages. And so we've actually developed a business. Black Sheep Global is only 3 years old now, and it was just last year that we actually spent our first marketing dollars by going to an event. Up to that point, every single client that we had was either someone who had found me in a Facebook group or was a referral from someone else who had found me in a Facebook group.
Right.
And that's actually still one of our chief methods of marketing is being active in forums where property managers live. So I would encourage anyone who's trying to think, well, how do I build my business? Well, figure out where your clients are and then go there and give them something for free. And don't expect to sell them, but just be there and give information. And that's very appreciated, especially right, if you are the expert in that particular market. If you're a property manager who's wanting to sell your services and you go to a group of, an HOA, like a next door group, and people are looking for recommendations for a handyman, you can be like, hey, I got a guy, right? And
Right.
he's awesome. And we work with him at my property management company. And here's all the reasons why you should work with him, right? Be the expert in the room. So
That, that
that's been my approach.
it's brilliant. And I mean, organic. I mean, how organic? And
Yep.
and it sort of circles back to faith in a little ways because, um, it's a servant attitude and being of
Yeah,
service, helping others and
absolutely.
build rapport. And then, I mean, going back to how you're the gatekeeper of your company, you already know now, you know, uh, the type of people you're dealing with based on your interaction. I mean, social media and the interaction that you have with these people, that's brilliant. So for those of you out there who don't have a lot of marketing dollars to spend right now, there's so many incredible opportunities and avenues to get your message out there. The equivalent, the metaphor of, wash the truck. So you built your business marketing wise organically.
Yes,
When
sir.
did you make that jump? When did you tell, Lead Simple, hey, I'm going out? And talk to us a little bit about that. We got about 8 minutes left.
Sure. So I had the opportunity, like I said, to work at Lead Simple. It was wonderful. There were some other opportunities that were very attractive. Yeah, a startup that offered me, a job on the ground floor, and I was like, oh man, it was a long-term relationship, and I just kind of had to make that happen. But like I said, it wasn't long before I got sucked back in, and thankfully I had a great relationship with the leadership at Lead Simple. And when I threw my hat in the ring, we'd already had some conversations and established some trust there, and they knew that I was going to take care of their clients, right? If someone came to me and said, hey, I need help with my Lead Simple account, then it was very easy for them to say, hey, talk to Ben, he's going to take care of you. And we've continued that relationship. And going back to it, kind of that overall idea of relationships, being the grease that keeps the business moving. Yeah, continuing to stay in touch and make sure that there are regular touch points is definitely a key part of keeping things happy and copacetic, and making sure that everybody is getting what they need out of the relationships that we have.
Yeah, and then it goes back to your CRM. I mean, you have
Sure.
systems and processes. I mean, any sleepless nights when you first started, I mean, it sounds like you might have had a couple built-in clients to make that leap.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've actually had more sleepless nights as I built the company than when I first began.
Okay.
Um, I thankfully I was able in my my previous W-2 position. I had enough free time, and my bosses were willing to let me, moonlight a little bit, to build up a source of income that was competitive to my current income without actually having to stay up super late and lose sleep. However, it's been in the growth of the team where I think the most challenges have come, and the most stress and growth ultimately, right? I think for any young entrepreneur, right, when you're early in the business, making the commitment to pay someone a salary is a pretty big commitment,
Oh,
right? And that it can be very scary. And for me, the way I combated that was just to remember, it's like, okay, it's just 1 month, right? I got to pay this month's salary, and if I can get one more client, then that will pay this month's salary, and then I'll be okay, right?
right.
And of course, as the company grows, that burden increases, right? Payroll is a real thing. Um, so we're very much in the service side of the equation. So payroll really is the thing, right? We don't have development or actual product that we're shipping, or investment that goes into buying pieces from some manufacturer. It really is all about the talent. So I've taken the approach of trying to hire the best possible talent I can find, really build a strong culture where people love to be here, and love to be a part of the team, and that's been super effective thus far.
Right. Wow. I mean, I've got the first thing that comes to mind when I'm talking to you and communicating with you is you're a unicorn. All right. You're the rare guy. You've got that tech mindset, but you're a very strong communicator and people person. How hard was let's be honest. Is it hard to delegate? Was it
Oh
hard
man,
to
so
delegate?
hard, so hard. Yeah, it's funny. I was, I'm literally in the business of building people processes, but when I look in the mirror, it's like, oh man, I feel so disorganized. And it's funny. I was dealing with some accounting, some billing a couple of months ago, and stressing out about it. And it's like, why don't I just write down a process and I can give this all to someone else? And sometimes that realization has to come home. And truth be told, I did write down that process, although I haven't yet given it to someone else to handle. But even that is a step in the right direction, because now it's replicable. And if I'm ever out of the office, I can easily reassign that to someone else who can own it.
Yeah, I mean, it's do it now, and then like you said, replicatable, duplicatable, and it's worth the initial upfront energy, time, and then you know it inside and out yourself, and when you know, it's easier to teach it and communicate it to someone. But at the same time, I mean, I know firsthand, you got to sort of cut that cord with that employee and say go,
Yeah.
and people like ourselves who started something, who's built something up like we have. I mean, it's a leap of faith, but then it goes back to your CRM,
Yeah.
because you've nurtured this talent, and you don't have the position open, but I think you're so forward thinking that great anticipation on your part. But what happens is I foresee A or B or C happening in the future. Therefore, I'm going to need this talent. I'm going to put feelers out there. And now with the CRM and your pipeline and you're touching and, talking to them, you have a real idea if they're going to be a good fit technically, culturally for you. So, I mean, I just see, yeah, good for you. Congratulations.
I really appreciate that.
That's awesome. Real quick, as we're about to wrap this up, what type, speaking engagements? Talk to me. How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, so
What's the best, if someone needs, describe an event where you'd be a good fit for someone out there.
yeah, absolutely. So I have a couple events that are upcoming in the next few weeks and months. Actually, I've got one in Austin, speaking at Lead Simple University. So it's definitely my home turf technologically.
Yeah.
So speaking to a very friendly crowd there, that's going to be a lot of fun. In January, I'll be speaking out at the Property Management Systems Conference, which is in Las Vegas. Any property manager who cares about building systems to take care of your business, I'd highly encourage you to attend that event. In fact, if you want a little bit of savings, you can use a code. I think it's Black Sheep Rocks, all caps. And I'm pretty sure that will save you like $250. So if you're interested in attending an industry conference that you want to go to, as far as other events where where I love to speak, we are definitely still kind of building up our marketing rep, and finding that for us, most of our business growth happens in those places where the relationships are built. So we're actually considering a bit of a move. We've gone heavy this year on conferences and booths and things like this. We're considering trying to restrict our marketing and focus more on relationship building. And for me, that happens at events where I go and speak. So as far as events we'd love to get connected at, anything property management related, anything technology related, that is our jam. We love to talk about technology over here, and CRMs and processes especially.
Great. If someone were to reach out to you, what's the best way to reach out to you? I mean, obviously, I'll book in this at the end when I go to edit the video. But what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you? A, you got a super tech guy who wants to go into the business, or B, someone who wants to use your services and become a client. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. You can visit our primary website, which is blacksheepglobal.net. Or if you just want to get in touch with me personally, it's benjaminserven.com. Either or, you can get in touch with us both places, and we'd love to hear from anyone who's interested in finding out more.
Real good, real good. Well, we got to, as we wrap this up, you're a foodie, fellow foodie. Real quick, we got about 45 seconds here. Tell me about some of the top restaurants that are hidden gems there in your neck of the woods.
Oh gosh. Okay. Let's see. In Houston, Texas, there's a pho restaurant that's not that far from me.
Okay.
It's called Pho and Win, I believe.
Okay.
It's located by 1960 and Highway 6. To die for. Amazing chicken pho. Would highly recommend it. Gosh, what else is really good here locally? Man, that's the one that comes to mind as one of our top favorites.
We'll just leave it at that, and they'll get a lot of business, hopefully.
Sounds great.
Benjamin, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. You've enlightened me on a lot of things. That's my timer saying we're done. But thank you so much. I look forward to reconnecting, and when, not if, but when I'm in Houston, we got to stop by and maybe go grab a bite to eat my treat.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Thanks, Benjamin. I really appreciate you.
Great to meet you, Matt.
Have a great day.